Which celebrity do you think is the worst influence of your generation? Which celebrities do you think have the most negative impact on society? I'm waiting for your answer in the comments. Happy watching. Story 1. I'm sure someone has already mentioned Elon Musk. However, I would like to reiterate his impact on the development of mass transit and light rail systems in the United States. His Hyperloop project was particularly harmful because many cities desperately needed new or improved transportation systems. For example, Clark County and Las Vegas had planned to expand their above-ground monorail system, but Elon convinced them to opt for the $52.5 million, 1.5-mile useless underground Vegas loop instead. Time and money wasted. Story 2. Kim Kardashian and women who have the same body characteristics. Nicki Minaj, Jlo, and such sluts. Donald J. Trump, Andrew Tate, social media personalities, bullshit musicians of today. Gimme more guys like Jack Black, show more couples that are like Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and athletes like Lewis Hamilton or Giannis. Promote musicians who know some bits of music and got some talent, not some wannabe dickheads who got no idea about music and their lyrics are both gross and worse than even what a 5-year-old could do. Musicians who can learn you something through their songs, like Metallica, Megadeth, or even before Pink Floyd, Jethro Tull, and others did. And they knew tons of music. Story 3. I don't think she's the worst, but I still think Ariana Grande isn't a good influence. She goes after multiple married men. Obviously, those men are problems too, but like, come on. She's definitely formed a pattern at this point. She treats customer service employees like crap. Every video I've ever seen of her where she's not aware she's being recorded, she's just an awful person, yet people still idolize her. Story 4. As a millennial, J.K. Rowling and Kanye West. The amount of people who are 30, 40, and will unprovoked tell you about their Hogwarts school like it's a real thing is just deranged. These people are living with 3 roommates in the 30s and talking about Wizard private high school. Harry Potter rotted the brains of a large part of my generation. Kanye West hasn't put out a great album since MBDTF in 2010, but people still pretend like he's still a musical genius because every 3 years he puts out an album of 25 tracks, only 3 of which don't completely suck shit. And then he comes out as a literal Nazi, blames black people for slavery, and goes on some of the worst far-right podcasts, and is too far right even for them. And then you've still got some idiot named something suburban like Connor, wearing a Donda hoodie and talking about how, you know, the new Kanye album actually kinda slaps ... It feels like he's returned to form. If it was true, you wouldn't need to say he's back every time he released an album. Story 5, come on. It's Trump by a light year. On every generation, at least 500,000 people died in the pandemic because of his actions. He disbanded the pandemic emergency response team of world experts in 2018. Then he led an insurrection. Then he stole national security secrets and stored them in his shitter. Worst celebrity ever. Story 6. I'd have to say Watergate. I mark that as the beginning of Americans not believing in anything at all, while at the same time believing in such outrageous lies and conspiracy theories that the world now seems like the body snatchers have landed and are advancing in great strides every day. Story 7, I'm millennial, but I guess Andrew Tate, the Kardashians, pretty much any plastic superficial twat who goes on Love Island or Toei or influencer who promotes a narcissistic superficial lifestyle. The problem is creativity is dying out, and the message seems to be you don't need create anything if you have wealth and can show it off. Story 8. I'll take this in a different direction and say most modern popular rappers of all genders. Completely selfish and trash lyrics. I can't even understand them, and if I bother to actually look up the lyrics, complete brain rot. No wonder we've got a bunch of young people out there who have no idea how to talk to or respect folks they're attracted to, or just other people in general. Story 9. Honestly, the amount of 14-year-old Kanye stans that just regurgitate every terrible take he has instead of realizing that he's suffering from something mentally is astonishing. Like, I look up to the guy's musical talent, but everything else about him is questionable. Story 10. The only reason why the Kardashians became famous is because their father was a slick-talking attorney who famously represented O.J. in a highly televised murder trial in which he was found not guilty of slaughtering his wife and her friend. Kim made a raunchy homemade sex tape with a rapper named Ray J. Then she sold the footage to a porn production company for thousands of dollars. Disgusting. Story 11. Anyone who goes around recording people in public without their consent, especially if those people are working or trying to shop somewhere. We shouldn't have to fear being recorded everywhere we go. People have jobs and families, and they don't want their face all over social media over some stupid prank. Story 12. Probably Paris Hilton. In hindsight, she was the first person to really become a celebrity strictly for doing something to get attention, the sex tape. She didn't make her fortune. She didn't have any entertainment talent. She didn't invent anything that changed the world. She didn't fight for anyone's rights or against any policies in order to make the world a better place. She didn't make any discoveries or propose any new scientific theories. She just sucked a guy's dick on camera and leaked the video. She then spawned a bunch of imitators, include Kim Kardashian, who I would make a close second. The only reason Kardashian is not first is because she got the idea for the sex tape from Paris Hilton having done it first. Story 13. A lot of the hip-hop rap stars, they sing about hate, they brag about shooting people, doing drugs, all their hoes, and how cool it is to be gangsta. Young people, especially boys, both black and white and in between, look at these people like they are heroes, and try to emulate them. A young person growing up in a poor neighborhood has enough disadvantages already. Providing them with poor role models only makes it all worse. Story 14, all of the TikTok influencers who convince young girls they need insanely expensive creams and serums to fight aging and acne, both normal things that skin does that don't do actually anything, and anyone who has an Amazon storefront and makes Amazon must-have videos or Shane hauls. Story 15, not celebrities, but a lot of influencers like Alexis Ren and Wolfie Cindy. I know they've contributed fucking up so many young girls' body images. I guess it's not their fault, but damn. Do you need to always edit your pics? Even admitting to have an ED and coming back skinnier and more popular is so disheartening. Story 16. A lot of trap rappers. Young Thug, Future, Young Boy NBA, Sexy Red, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, raised in the hood, but propelled to celebrity status from their music. But their lifestyles and lyrical content perpetuates a culture that leads to nothing but problems. Yes, talking about gang and hustle culture and all the superficial materialism that comes with it. Story 17. I am prepared for the hate, and it certainly isn't the worst, but Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I was the prime demographic when South Park first came out. And let me tell you, it made my time at school so much worse. Before South Park, kids would spout Simpsons quotes in an attempt to be funny, unoriginal, but charming and generally innocuous. Overnight, when South Park came out, kids were repeating the Nazi slogan Cartman said unironically, or mocking African languages, or calling me token for being the only black kid. The Christmas Pooh type stuff was just silly humor that did no harm, but South Park was generally really bad at balancing satire with actual nasty behavior in the beginning. People would say, well, kids were dicks anyway, like the characters. And yes, kids could be mean, but I saw an uptick in flat-out bigoted behavior dressed up as transgressive emulation of the show's attempted satire and shock humor. Over time, South Park became more preachy and niche. Apathy as a virtue, etc. Making fun of people who care about things they think are ridiculous, etc. I have no problems with people enjoying it, but it felt like a net negative for my generation overall. Story 18. The football community in general, where top players are being paid 10x the typical annual salary a week, and they make no effort to set a good example to people in general. Fouls, overacting, foul language, awful aggressive behavior towards referees and opposing players. Blatant attempts to cheat their way to penalties against the other team in any way possible. Story 19. To all the people saying the Kardashians, are they even that influential among people? Like seriously, I'm a young guy and I don't see them mentioned outside of people on Reddit bitching about them. I don't see them on social media, TV, and ads, nor do I hear people bring them up in real life. Like they were infamous in the mid to late 2000s after the sex tape and the early seasons of their reality show. But they've basically been socialites for the past 15 years. Story 20. All influencers, actually. All of them think only about profit, likes, and view, and won't hesitate to tell bullshit stuff simply to gain more attention. And no, having a few millions follower don't make them cooler, popular, or legit for anything. They are all random people who wants to make money out of the stupidity of people. I could add that most people from USA are bad influence too. That country became a crazy one with a huge ego that serve absolutely no good. All these gun and war maniacs shouldn't be taken seriously. Story 21. As much as I dislike them, I will give credit to Kim for her shapewear company completely redefining how people viewed shapewear. Pre-Skims saw the likes of Spanx and the accompanying shame. Nobody wanted to admit they wore shapewear because it was chic to be ribs and collarbones and hip bones must always be visible skinny. After the thick movement and body positivity came about, Kim released Skims, and suddenly everyone was raving about it. Now there's advertisements about all sorts of shapewear from shapewear brands, and there's zero shame with it. People get excited when they talk about, oh, this one pair of shorts is like part shapewear so I can wear it with this satin dress and not feel like I look bloated after I eat. Or when they say, oh, this is the viral Skims dress, it's so comfy. Now it's much more normalized to be honest about stuff like bloating or hip dips or cellulite or needing to use shapewear for different reasons. Even as a skinny person, I find myself getting a Skims fit for wearing tighter stuff. Some people even just wear the bodysuits by themselves as an outfit. It made shapewear fashionable instead of embarrassing. Again, I don't care for the clan, and I think they've done more harm than good overall, but I will give Kimberly her snaps with that one thing. Story 22. You can make anti-Kardashian or anti-Logan Paul or anti-whoever else arguments until the sun sets in the east. But Andrew Tate is a predator, not only towards women but towards young boys that are incredibly impressionable and will do anything to seek attention from their peers, including saying inflammatory things. When you platform someone like Tate, you teach young boys that sexism and violence against women and other groups is actually okay, because the result is the appearance of lots of women, money, cars, and popularity. When in actuality he's hiding out in Romania or some shit because he's literally a convicted sex trafficker. Shocking he's been around for as long as he has, and I sincerely hope if I ever have a son that he doesn't follow someone like that. Story 23. I saw Jake Paul at a grocery store in Los Angeles yesterday. I told him how cool it was to meet him in person, but I didn't want to be a douche and bother him and ask him for photos or anything. He said, "Oh, like you're doing now?" I was taken aback, and all I could say was, "Huh?" But he kept cutting me off and going, huh, and closing his hand shut in front of my face. I walked away and continued with my shopping, and I heard him chuckle as I walked off. When I came to pay for my stuff up front, I saw him trying to walk out the doors with like 15 Milky Ways in his hands without paying. The girl at the counter was very nice about it and professional, and was like, "Sir, you need to pay for those first." At first, he kept pretending to be tired and not hear her, but eventually turned back around and brought them to the counter. When she took one of the bars and started scanning it multiple times, he stopped her and told her to scan them each individually to prevent any electrical interference, and then turned around and winked at me. I don't even think that's a word. After she scanned each bar and put them in a bag and started to say the price, he kept interrupting her by yawning really loudly. Story 24. As much as I dislike them, I will give credit to Kim for her shapewear company completely redefining how people viewed shapewear. Pre-Skims saw the likes of Spanx and the accompanying shame. Nobody wanted to admit they wore shapewear because it was chic to be ribs and collarbones, and hip bones must always be visible skinny. After the thick movement and body positivity came about, Kim released Skims, and suddenly everyone was raving about it. Now there's advertisements about all sorts of shapewear from shapewear brands, and there's zero shame with it. People get excited when they talk about, oh, this one pair of shorts is like part shapewear so I can wear it with this satin dress and not feel like I look bloated after I eat. Or when they say, oh, this is the viral Skims dress, it's so comfy. Now it's much more normalized to be honest about stuff like bloating or hip dips or cellulite or needing to use shapewear for different reasons. Even as a skinny person, I find myself getting a Skims fit for wearing tighter stuff. Some people even just wear the bodysuits by themselves as an outfit. It made shapewear fashionable instead of embarrassing. Again, I don't care for the clan, and I think they've done more harm than good overall, but I will give Kimberly her snaps with that one thing. Story 25. I used to hate the Kardashians, and I've still never followed their show. But I have to say, what they have done is impressive. I mean, they capitalized on our capitalist structure, and good for them. I can't imagine the sacrifices of giving away all your privacy and modifying your body to obtain that, but I feel like given the cards they were dealt, pressure of being just outside the wealth and fame of actual Hollywood, and then working until they obtained the highest echelon of that while becoming billionaires, they did pretty amazing. I don't have their same motivations, but I consider them to have succeeded, and I envy them in ways. Story 26. As a millennial, Kim, Courtney, Chloe's generation, I feel like they only really had an actual influence on society for a few years in the initial seasons of the show. They've become widely famous, but not to the point where they really dictated how women act, look, etc. If anything, for me, they were kind of that tail end of the famous to be famous era. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.